The world's busiest trade routes are shifting, and the impact is being felt everywhere. From the Red Sea to the Arctic, the movement of goods is no longer predictable. The cost of shipping is rising, supply chains are strained, and the industry is searching for answers. The Red Sea used to be a vital artery for global trade, but in late 2023, that changed. Houthi rebels in Yemen began attacking commercial vessels, targeting ships linked to Israel.
They have attacked boats with missiles, with drones, and in one case actually seized a boat in a very dramatic heist.
The response was immediate. By early 2024, nearly 600 container ships had been rerouted, and Suez Canal traffic dropped by 82%. Shipping companies had no choice. They took the long way around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, adding thousands of miles to their journeys. Rerouting ships from the Suez Canal to the Cape of Good Hope increases travel distances by up to 40%. That extra mileage means more fuel, higher carbon emissions, and delays in deliveries. While ships struggled to avoid the Red Sea, another crisis was unfolding. The Panama Canal, a gateway for 5% of the world's container trade, faced an unprecedented drought. El Niño wreaked havoc on water levels, forcing authorities to cut daily transits. Ships sat idle, waiting for a chance to pass. Some never did. They sought alternative routes, further congesting global shipping lanes. The message was clear: traditional pathways were no longer reliable. The Arctic is now in focus. Melting ice is creating new routes, and major players are paying attention. Russia sees an opportunity. So does China. But this isn't just about trade. The Arctic is a geopolitical flashpoint. As military activity increases, concerns about security and environmental risks grow. Is the world ready for the consequences? The economic toll is staggering. Shipping costs have surged. Alternative routes mean longer journeys, higher fuel consumption, and increased insurance premiums. Inflation is rising, with supply chain disruptions pushing up the price of goods. J.P. Morgan estimates that the Red Sea crisis alone has added 0.7 percentage points to global core goods inflation. Consumers are paying the price, whether they realize it or not. While the world scrambles for solutions, the U.S. is facing a different problem. America was once a maritime powerhouse, not anymore. The U.S. Navy, one of the most formidable forces in history, was built to protect trade. But today, the American commercial shipping fleet is nearly non-existent. Less than 1% of global commercial ships fly the U.S. flag. Compare that to China, which controls over 5,500 merchant vessels. The gap is enormous. This wasn't always the case. After World War II, the U.S. dominated sea freight, accounting for half of the world's shipping capacity. In the 1950s, an American entrepreneur revolutionized trade by introducing shipping containers. Yet over time, globalization and economic shifts hollowed out the industry. Today, U.S. ports struggle with labor strikes, outdated infrastructure, and a lack of investment. The Navy itself faces difficulties securing commercial vessels for logistics and military support. America's dependence on foreign shipping has never been greater. Now Washington is waking up. Politicians are linking national security to maritime strength. There's talk of reviving the commercial fleet, boosting shipbuilding, and reinforcing the merchant marine. But can they turn the tide? Secretary of the Navy Carlos Del Toro thinks so. He's pushing for investment in commercial shipbuilding and a stronger maritime strategy. But he's also realistic. A proposed solution is the SHIPS Act. This legislation aims to rebuild U.S. commercial shipping over the next decade. If passed, it would be the most significant maritime policy shift since 1936. Supporters argue that a stronger U.S. fleet is crucial, not just for trade, but for national security. Critics, however, question whether America has the political will to compete with China's heavily subsidized shipbuilding industry. China's maritime dominance is no accident. Beijing has invested billions into shipbuilding, port infrastructure, and logistics networks. The results speak for themselves. China's commercial shipping sector fuels its naval expansion, allowing shipyards to seamlessly transition from building cargo vessels to aircraft carriers. In contrast, the U.S. has let its shipbuilding industry decline. Even the Philly shipyard, one of the last American commercial shipbuilders, is now owned by a South Korean company. The issue goes beyond economics. It's about control. During the COVID-19 pandemic, supply chain disruptions exposed the risks of relying on foreign shipping. China's grip on global freight, data tracking, and port management became a glaring vulnerability. Washington took notice. The question now is whether the U.S. will act before it's too late.
The U.S. has been committed to the idea of freedom of the seas, and nowhere is that under greater threat than in the South China Sea.
So what's behind China's claim over these waters? Why won't it share? And could it all lead to war?
History offers lessons. Naval strategist Alfred Thayer Mahan once argued that control of maritime commerce strengthens naval power. China has taken that lesson to heart. The U.S. must decide if it will do the same. Del Toro and other officials are pushing for closer cooperation with allies like South Korea and Japan to reinvest in American shipbuilding. But is that enough? Traditional shipping lanes are no longer safe. The Arctic is opening up new frontiers. But at what cost? Inflation is rising and global trade is under pressure. Meanwhile, the U.S. faces a reckoning. Can it reclaim its maritime dominance, or will it cede the seas to China? Avoiding these troubled waters isn't just an inconvenience, it's a logistical nightmare. Longer routes mean higher fuel consumption. Higher fuel consumption means increased costs. And those costs don't stay in the shipping industry. They spread to every corner of the global economy. Some container ships have had to increase speeds to meet tight schedules, burning even more fuel in the process. The environmental impact? A staggering 70% rise in emissions for a round trip between Singapore and Northern Europe. Every delay and every extra mile comes with a price. Since November 2023, freight rates on key shipping routes have exploded. By February 2024, shipping costs from Asia to Europe had more than doubled, and on some routes, rates had tripled. In 1 week alone, freight costs jumped by $500 per container, a record-breaking increase. The ripple effect doesn't stop there. Even routes that don't pass through the Red Sea or Panama Canal are feeling the pressure. Asia to U.S. West Coast freight rates surged by 130% in just 3 months. Businesses relying on imported goods now face higher expenses, and those costs are trickling down to consumers. Energy markets are not immune to these disruptions. Oil and liquefied natural gas shipments have been forced onto longer, riskier routes. As a result, gas prices have spiked, particularly in regions heavily reliant on energy imports. Car carriers have also taken a hit, with their numbers in the Red Sea dropping by half in late 2023. For food markets, the consequences could be even more severe. The war in Ukraine already made grain exports unpredictable. Now, with shipping costs soaring and alternative routes hard to find, food prices could rise again, hitting developing nations the hardest. The Suez Canal isn't just a shortcut, it's a lifeline for Egypt's economy. In 2022/23, the canal generated $9.4 billion in revenue, making up about 2.3% of Egypt's GDP. But with traffic down, earnings have dropped by 40%. The economic fallout doesn't stop at Egypt's borders. Neighboring countries such as Sudan and Ethiopia could also feel the squeeze as regional trade slows. The disruptions are far from over. Maritime security in the Red Sea remains a critical concern. The drought in Panama shows no signs of easing. The war in Ukraine continues to reshape global trade routes. Each of these problems alone would be challenging. Together, they are rewriting the way the world moves goods. Governments and shipping companies are now facing tough decisions. Should they invest in alternative transport methods? Should they push for more security in key waterways? Should they rethink the geography of global trade altogether? This isn't just a problem for shipping companies. It's a problem for businesses, consumers, and entire economies. From rising fuel costs to delays in everyday products, the impact is everywhere. Clearly, the Red Sea has become a war zone. The waters once dominated by cargo ships and oil tankers are now battlegrounds. Missiles, drones, and hijackings have forced the world's largest shipping companies to rethink their routes. But how easy is it to reroute vessels that stretch longer than 3 football fields? On January 17th, the MV Genco Picardy, a U.S.-owned bulk carrier, became the latest victim of a Houthi drone attack. The blast left a deep black scar on its white hull. The crew put out the fire, but the message was clear. No ship is safe in the Red Sea. Since November, the Houthis have been striking commercial vessels near the Bab al-Mandab Strait, a narrow passage connecting the Red Sea to the Arabian Sea. They claim to be targeting ships linked to Israel, but their missiles have hit various vessels, from oil tankers to cargo carriers. For the shipping industry, the consequences are staggering. Around 12% of global trade, worth over $1 trillion, passes through the Red Sea every year. With attacks escalating, many companies are opting for a detour around Africa's southern tip. But rerouting a cargo ship is not as simple as taking a different road. Every decision to change course carries massive costs. The journey around the Cape of Good Hope adds at least 6,500 kilometers and up to 12 extra days. Fuel costs skyrocket. Some estimates put the added expense at $1 million per trip. And time is money. Delays ripple across industries, pushing up the price of goods. The impact doesn't stop there. Shipping companies are scrambling to find more vessels to keep up with the extended routes. Insurance premiums are climbing. Some manufacturers are shifting to air freight, which is expensive and unsustainable. And then there's the environmental toll. Longer voyages mean more fuel consumption and higher carbon emissions. The shipping industry's goal of cutting emissions by 20% by 2030 is slipping further away. The drought choking the Panama Canal has already forced some ships to find alternative routes. The war in Ukraine has reshaped grain exports, and now the Red Sea crisis has pushed shipping firms into yet another logistical nightmare. On a single day this past week, 300 ships faced the choice of sailing through the danger zone or taking the costly detour. Each ship carried up to 25 crew members, seafarers who had no say in whether their vessels sailed into a war zone. Despite military efforts by the US and UK to protect vessels, the attacks continue. In November, the Houthis hijacked a car carrier and broadcast the footage. A Russian oil tanker narrowly escaped destruction. The situation is unpredictable, and shipping companies are unwilling to gamble with lives and cargo worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The shift away from the Red Sea isn't just affecting container ships. Oil tankers are traveling longer distances to avoid the area, further driving up global energy costs. The shift in trade routes has also intensified bottlenecks in other regions. China, for example, had already been diverting ships from the drought-stricken Panama Canal to the Suez Canal. Now, with the Suez route compromised, the logistics network is even more strained. While some might compare this crisis to past disruptions, experts warn that there's no easy solution. Unlike the pandemic-era supply chain crisis, this situation involves active military threats. Cargo ships can't simply adjust their schedules and wait for congestion to ease. For now, the world's shipping industry is adapting as best as it can. Some routes are being adjusted, alternative supply chains explored, and costs absorbed. But the longer the crisis drags on, the greater the impact on global trade. Consumers will feel it in delayed deliveries and rising prices. And for the crews still braving the Red Sea, every voyage is a gamble. Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen have turned commercial vessels into moving targets, forcing a drastic shift in global shipping patterns. The numbers tell the story. Traffic through the Red Sea has dropped by nearly 60%, and for those who dare to pass, insurance costs have soared to levels never seen before. Norway, home to the world's 5th largest merchant fleet, has felt the shockwaves. Audun Halvorsen of the Norwegian Shipowners Association puts it bluntly: war risk insurance rates have exploded, 100 times higher than before the attacks began in October 2023. Each transit now costs about 1% of a ship's value. The result? A desperate search for alternatives. One option has entered the conversation: the Northern Sea route. On paper, the Arctic Passage seems like a dream come true. The route, stretching from the Barents Sea near Norway to the Bering Strait between Siberia and Alaska, is thousands of miles shorter than the Red Sea pathway. A trip between Europe and Asia could be slashed by 5,000 miles, saving time, fuel, and money.
The Arctic is undergoing a transformation. It's driven by global warming, and intense global competition.
Global tensions find a new stage in the warming Arctic.
Tonight, the U.S. closely monitoring growing military cooperation between Russia and China.
The Arctic is no longer a low-tension region.
But experts in Norway, where the sun won't set for 3 months straight, remain skeptical. Halvorsen doesn't mince words. Viability close to zero. The reasons? Politics, perilous waters, and a complete lack of infrastructure. The Northern Sea Route is not a free passage. Russia controls 70% of the Arctic, and every ship passing through must pay a fee. Given Russia's ongoing war with Ukraine, cooperation with Western shipping companies is unlikely. A tense geopolitical situation means that any misstep could turn into a diplomatic crisis. Then there's the terrain itself. The safest waters for navigation run close to the Russian coastline, but these are shallow. Large container ships can't operate there, forcing them into the open sea, where the conditions are far worse. And what happens when something goes wrong? Unlike the Suez Canal, where help is a call away, the Arctic is a graveyard of stranded vessels. No major ports, no rescue operations, no second chances. A ship running into trouble could be stuck indefinitely, its crew left to the mercy of the elements. And in the Arctic, the elements do not show mercy. Climate change has accelerated ice melt, but that doesn't mean smooth sailing. Icebergs, floating chunks of unpredictable sea ice, and extreme weather conditions make navigation treacherous. Once summer ends, the region plunges into 24-hour darkness for 6 straight months, making operations nearly impossible.
A tanker carrying liquefied natural gas has crossed the Arctic for the first time, in a sign of how global warming has opened up new routes for commercial shipping. In September, scientists recorded the lowest summer ice cover since satellite data collection began.
Even now, experts say Arctic ice conditions have grown more unpredictable in the past decade. The idea that melting ice will open up easy shipping lanes is, at best, a gamble. Saving a few days of transit time is meaningless if a ship gets stranded, blocked, or lost in the ice. But there's one nation watching the Arctic with keen interest: China. China has long pushed to expand its global influence, and the Arctic is no exception. Beijing has even laid out an Arctic strategy with plans to develop infrastructure, extend military reach, and participate in regional governance. But there's a problem, Russia. Despite China and Russia's so-called limitless partnership, the Arctic remains a sensitive subject. Russia's Northern Fleet, stationed just 125 miles from NATO's newest member, Finland, is one of Moscow's prized military assets. The idea of China gaining too much influence in this frozen frontier makes Russia uneasy. Jo Inge Bekkevold, a senior China fellow at the Norwegian Institute for Defense Studies, puts it bluntly: if China pushes Russia too hard in the Arctic, there will be pushback. For now, China is treading carefully. Its biggest Arctic investment so far has been in Russia's Yamal gas drilling projects. Military involvement? Practically non-existent. Not a single Chinese Navy vessel has ever crossed the Arctic Circle. Even if China wanted to make the Northern Sea Route viable, the economics don't add up. Most of China's exports come from southern provinces like Guangdong. For these goods, the traditional route through the Indian Ocean and Suez Canal remains the shortest. A Northern Sea Route detour would add distance, not reduce it. In global shipping, predictability is king. 1 or 2 days of uncertainty can cost millions. No business wants to gamble on unpredictable ice, Russian bureaucracy, and extreme weather when the Red Sea, for all its current dangers, still offers a clear path. For now, China has negotiated hefty insurance discounts for Red Sea transits, allowing its ships to continue passing through despite the risks. The Houthis may still target Western shippers, but China has found ways to keep its fleet moving. The world of shipping is built on efficiency, stability, and reliability. The Red Sea crisis has forced a re-evaluation of trade routes, but the Arctic remains far from a perfect alternative. Too many risks, too many unknowns, too much reliance on a single geopolitical player: Russia. For now, the Northern Sea Route remains a theoretical escape, not a practical one. Until conditions change, the Red Sea, despite the dangers, remains the path most ships will continue to take. Because in shipping, one thing is certain: unpredictability is the enemy of profit.